Welcome back to Capital Code, where we decode the intersection between capital and code and SaaS and softwares and explore how money and markets and machines and intelligence are working inside a business right now. As always, I'm your host, Brent Engelman, the CEO of Orimo, and this episode is powered by Orimo AI, helping founders scale faster with automations and intelligent systems. Today's guest, guys, is one of my favorite kind of entrepreneurs, a hands-on builder who saw a problem in his own community and then decided to fix it, build in it. So Zach Fairfield is the founder of RollOps. It's RollOps, or you can see his hat right there, Ops. Is it .pro? Is that right?
It is .pro, yes, sir.
.pro. He's got a software platform that is designed specifically for martial arts gyms and gym owners and combat sports and academies. And he really went from working in like collision repair to coding his own SaaS software with ChatGPT as his guide and literally teaching himself how to build software from the ground up. And so we're going to unpack that story today, how he did it, where he's headed, and what the journey tells us about AI and the future of AI. So Zach, take us back. First off, welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you're
Thanks,
on,
Brent.
bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be fun because the first thing I like everybody to kind of do is just kind of take me back. I heard your story, but take me back to your jiu-jitsu time, and then you kind of got this idea of like, hey man, there's a problem here. I mean, I prefaced it in the intro, but tell us how RollOps actually started in your journey a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so my day job, I actually work for a software company, an automotive software company, and do a lot of product analytics. And started at a as a startup. Got headhunted as a startup just for my expert opinion from my background in collision repair. And so started with a software company. So I kind of seen, what it took to grow a SaaS platform from zero customers, napkin idea, vaporware, barely clickable prototypes, that were horrendous to, we've got 2,500, paying customers today.
Wow.
And just secured like one of the largest partnerships in collision repair for software, coming early 2026. So, to come from that to where I was, my whole goal, like leaving the collision industry, was to learn some skills, and so I
Yeah.
always observed and watched and paid attention to, what was going on, how we developed, how we made decisions, how we grew the product, how we acquired customers. And so, in that process, I started training jujitsu. Post pandemic, had been sitting at home for, what felt like 2 years, and was like, hey, things are opening back up. Like, I need to get off my butt. I was working all day at the computer and hanging out, watching TV at night, and, I didn't get off my butt. And so I started training jujitsu, and, I train probably 4 or 5 times a week, twice a day, and fell in love, became completely obsessed, watching YouTube videos, teaching myself, doing everything I could to learn and consume as much as I could. And, a couple of years go by, and make friends with the gym owner, and you hear things in the background and it doesn't register all the time, right? Like until the time is right. And so, one day, I had been working on a portfolio project, a data engineering thing, and I was building a jiu-jitsu web scraper to scrape match data, and thought it'd be really cool to show charts and visual stuff for jiu-jitsu match data just as a project, to
Yeah.
kind of advertise my skills, look for other work, whatever. And I was like, I don't want to build a data thing. I just want to build some software. Like that's where money's at. Like nobody wants to buy a chart. And so, with that kind of thought in my brain, and I was practicing coding, and I was using ChatGPT to try these things and develop and write Python and, all the things that I was not very good at.
Mhm.
Uh, I heard my gym owner complain about his software. I was like, man, I hate this thing. It's so frustrating. I was like, hey, how much do you pay for that software? And, come to find out it was almost $300 a month for a gym management software, right? Like, and I was like, company I work for, super complicated automotive software, legal regulations, up the
Mhm.
wazoo, like all kinds of stuff, contracts, negotiations that take a year to get data rights for. I was like, that's like way complicated. We charge about the same amount of money. I was like, I can build a scheduling thing and
Right.
check in, check out. Like, I was like, easy money. Like, let me go ahead and do that, and I can do it better. And so I started researching and trying to figure out what the competitive landscape was and like what the competitors out there were doing. And basically like what you find is everything was a port over from yoga software, right? Or CrossFit
Hmm.
gyms, they made it for this. And then they're like, hey, we'll put a belt system on there and call it jiu-jitsu software. And
Right.
really what gym owners are running into is super complicated. There's a bajillion settings, 50 different report options, and it's just too complicated. These guys are training jujitsu every day. They're not, the gym owner that just owns the gym and just watches it run in the background and has people to manage everything for them. A lot of these people, maybe not technical, their
Yeah.
expertise was in jujitsu and sports and in people. And so it's like, how do we take something that's complicated and make it super simple for them? Teach it to them just like a beginner. And that's kind of where our logo come from. I don't have it here, but it's a half a white belt on the business side and a black belt on the jujitsu side, right? Like, how do we marry those two things together
Yeah.
to provide value and ultimately build a business out of it? That I feel proud to work at, and uh, funny small quick story is the startup that I started working for. Was thought, oh, I'm going to work at a software startup. It's going to be great. It's like Facebook, going to be a billionaire, like whatever, all the stories you tell yourself in your head. And
Sure.
then you realize you're just the guy at the bottom, and, we get acquired and I didn't get anything, right? Like I didn't
Yeah.
get hide nor hair of anything, and was paid as a contractor employee. I got to thank you and you get a full-time job. And so I was like, all right, this is not the end all be all for me. Uh,
Hmm.
and so I've always been on the lookout for something. And so I was just super happy to kind of like come across something. And so I started developing. I started with ChatGPT, started writing code. I
Yeah.
was like, can I build a mobile app? Can I put together an app? And, within a few days I had a clickable something, it was like, started putting together designs. They're terrible. I'm going to probably put together a montage at some point of like my terrible designs all the way to the way the app looks today,
Oh, I would
to
love
show
that. Yeah.
people how,
How you
uh,
do it.
uh, how far it's come.
Yeah.
But I just started building and then started investigating AI tools, started investigating, different coding agents. This is like right at the kind of onset or the big hype of vibe coding, like vibe
Yep.
coding become this trend and there's YouTube videos everywhere. It's like, okay, well, other people are building things fast and quick. And I was like, well, what can we do? And so we went full tilt, installed, we used Cursor today. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, I just racked up a $300 bill in 2 days, with
Hmm.
a 20-hour binge coding straight, with just me and myself and an LLM going to town,
Well, I
basically
think that
rebuilding
that's kind of the
90% of the
cool
app.
story. I mean, that's the real story. Is like, so yeah, okay, you're building a tool for gyms, but underneath it all, it's really a story about learning to build with
Yeah.
AI and what that process was really like. Like you said, like it would absolutely be brilliant to launch out if you've recorded like, hey, I went here and then here and using ChatGTP and Cursor to code your first prototype. Just that journey alone, I know resonates. And you and I had talked on a pre-show, like a pre-show. That was the big reason for this podcast. Is
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that have invested significant private equity money into apps, just kind of the fear of missing out. We're like, oh, this is going to be the next $1 billion Facebook, right?
Right.
Just to find out they white label wrapped there's no genuine unique code to it. So
Yeah.
so here's my thought is like, now you've got, if I remember right, you have a little bit of it, you have a small team that kind of helps, you've got some marketers, even your own, I think
Yeah.
you have some family as investors, and
Yeah.
for founders listening that think they got to go get the big capital, but really want to kind of bootstrap a dream, which is a great story in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, what's been the hardest part of scaling from an idea to an actual company, in your opinion?
Staying motivated. you
Yeah.
know, uh, this journey, like, you have to be willing to learn, and you've got to be willing to figure out the answer, right? Like, uh, even 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 if that means, asking ChatGPT, what the heck do I do? Um, you know, uh, or being willing to look on Google or be willing to figure it out, right? Like when I started, I was like, okay, like I knew that I was going to have to use some kind of GitHub or something like that. I knew that that was what developers did. Never had touched a line of GitHub in my life, right? So
Hmm.
me as now this founding, budding software CEO, I'm like, all right, I got to figure out how to make this code base something where other people can work on it, because up to that point it was just me. And so I had to learn how to set up CI/CD, continuous deployments, and GitHub security stuff, and all these things. And it's like every step I take, there's about 10 new things I got to figure out, 10 new processes, 10 new business things, 10 new development concepts, or security issues, or what names it. And that can be frustrating, right? If somebody just wants instant gratification, like I just want to make money overnight, like you're not going to find that. Like even with AI, you're not going to find it, right? And one of the things I guess I would caution, even early investor or early founders or whatever, is that like vibe coding can take you so far, and for maybe a small single purpose app where there's not a lot of complexity to it, but when you're building we're building a gym operating system, right? Like it is
Yeah.
very in depth. There is a ton of complicated business logic. Like you do have to learn, right? Like you've got to learn about these things, databases and architecture. Now, luckily, I have some background in database, and I have some knowledge of data structures and how things flow. And so like I have a little bit of a competitive advantage in that area where I can go fast. But if you don't have that stuff, you've got to find the people that can. And that's where it led me to building a team. Like I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm here. I want to become a production app over here. I have people that
Yeah.
are interested. I've talked to them. I want to sell them this thing. It's worth money, but I want to jump from this prototype on my personal computer to a production level application, right? And so at that point, I was like, I can't do it alone. And I remember a really good TV show. There's a show called Undercover Billionaire. And the
Yes.
first episode, they drop you off with $100 in the middle of nowhere with no contacts, no information, and no nothing. And one of the things that stuck out to me from that show was he just showed up and he started putting ads on Craigslist. Hey, I'm starting a business, and I want people to help me, right? Like
Yep.
there are people out there that are willing to help you. Like I was able to find teammates and offer them some equity, and find people that shared my vision, and that believed in what we were doing, and were bored or wanted projects, or wanted the aspiration of maybe I'll be joining that startup that turns into Facebook, right? And so there's always
That
somebody that
I
will join
think
you.
you're hitting the key there is sometimes people overcomplicate their their business structure and their plan. It's like, yeah, he put the under. I remember seeing that Undercover Billionaires. Like he just said, "Hey man, I'm starting a business. I need help," and everybody, lots of people, and good people
Lots of
show
people
up.
helped out, and good people showed up, and they made a $1 million business in almost 90 days, right? Like a business
Unbelievable.
valued at $1 million, and in the next season valued at $5 million in 90 days, right? So during the pandemic, so like it's possible, right? Like you
Yeah.
just have to get out there and hustle. You've got to get out there and do it. You've got to find something that you're passionate about and that you can stick behind. And that was honestly, like I've had tons of failed business ventures, failed websites, failed ideas, eBay store, and tried to
Hmm.
sell an AI book written by AI. That was like my first venture into like AI generated whatever,
Yeah.
which was a
I love
complete
that.
flop. Not even like, I don't even think a view to my website. I think I paid like a couple $100 in ads and not a single thing. And so it was terrible, a terrible experience, but it taught me a lot about setting up web stores and hooking
Yep.
up Facebook carousels and all those kinds of things. So it got me my feet wet and dirty into the technology space or the internet business space. And so I've always been trying, but I wasn't passionate about selling AI books. Like I wasn't willing to die on that hill. And so when I found this, like it's been something that I could get behind. It's a business that I could see myself working in till I get old, or whatever.
Well,
Like
yeah, let's talk about the business, the market. So, like, RollOps isn't just a scheduling app; it's like a private social network for gyms. It's
yeah.
right. What was it that kind of gave you the insight that the community is
Yeah, like
a
right.
differentiator?
I mean, one of the things that, gyms struggle with, I mean, any gym business is turnover, right? Like
Okay.
people come in, they sign up for a membership and they leave, right? Or
Yep.
they get busy, life gets busy. One of the things that you find is when you make friends in a place where you can connect with people, like the people that I show up at the gym with aren't just like people that I show up at the gym with are my friends. Like they're the people that I send funny memes to,
Right.
they're the people that I make fun of on the mat. Like we're hugging each other constantly. We're sweating together. Like I just sat on my buddy's face. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's funny. We get to joke about it in jujitsu, but like we're very intimate, for lack of a better term. Like we're close, and so building on that connection with people, like how do we connect, right? Everybody connects through social media, everybody has it. One of the issues that I find is there's about 20 different social medias out there. What's the
Yeah.
one place we all go? We all go to the gym together. I don't know your Snapchat, I don't know your Instagram. Maybe
But
I
I know what
find you
time
because
you're at.
Facebook
What time
recommends,
you're.
and so sometimes it's difficult to connect with those people. And so building the connection right inside of the application, I go to schedule my classes, I can see what's going on, I can
Yeah.
share stuff with the people that I want. A lot of the gym softwares out there are strictly like scheduling and lead and CRM based. Like, how do I get more people in the door, but not how do I keep them there, right? And
Ooh.
so what we wanted to do was build systems and tools like how do we make it the software more valuable for the students? So we built a journaling app inside of there, right? How do I train and track my stuff? Because jujitsu is complicated. Like you go in, you watch a professor do a move for an hour, and you're like, I'm supposed to remember this. Like take some notes.
I want to
You
take
can
some
do it real
notes.
quick and put
Digitize
some
it.
notes right in there. It's right in your gym app. It's a place where you can save stuff or videos you want to save or whatever. Like you can kind of build that into the application to help foster retention. And so that was one of the biggest things that we really targeted was how do we keep students in the gym? And that's what we'll keep doing, right? Like our mission and our goal is how do we make jujitsu businesses last? And
Yeah.
there's so many gyms that I've heard of where world class black belt, won all kinds of things and they started their gym and it closed down after a couple of years because they just don't know how to run a business, right? Like they don't know how
Yeah.
to do some of
They
that
didn't
stuff.
have
And
they didn't
so
have roll-ups.
I didn't have roll-ups. And so, how do we take people like you can't see it on here, it's on the back of my shirt, but how do we take people from garage to empire? That's kind of our thing
Yeah,
is how do
I
we
love that because you're digitizing culture without losing like you just said you're recognizing the human element, and that's a huge theme here on Capital Code is like
yeah,
the tech should always enhance connection,
yeah,
not replace it. And then I feel like a lot of people they're writing like you said apps and code and automations that essentially are dehumanizing it. But we're like, hey man, this is what it's about: is making connections and friendships. And we might not be on the mat doing jujitsu. You'd kill me because I'd probably break in 10 different places before I even started. But we do you build relationships, and so the technology is really there to enhance it and not replace it. Talk
right.
about that for a little bit before I move on.
Yeah, I mean that's like one of our big cornerstones, right? So as we think about like we're just scaling up, we're adding our first customers. We've got some awesome stuff as we're bringing on new gyms. But
Yeah.
one of my facilities is like we don't want to lose the human aspect, right? Like tech support. I mean, can you email any application and get somebody on the phone? Like or no, like it's very difficult to get
Nope.
assistance or help. So that's going to be one of our milestones is that like we will have good tech support, good help. Like I'm going to be flying out to gyms to onboard them personally, for our first little while to make sure that they have a good experience, that they're happy customers. Like customer service is going to be like one of the cornerstones of our thing. That's where I'm
Paramount.
from. That's where I come from. Like every application, every customer, everything is removed. Like automated emails, automated chatbots, like all that stuff is great. There's a time and a place for it, but there's also a time and a place to use those technologies to say, hey, this person's really important. Why don't you go talk to them? Why don't you put a
Yeah.
phone call to them?
Especially in that early
Um,
stage, right? Like I think you said
yeah,
you're launching some of your first customers, right?
yeah, yeah.
So what's your talk a little bit about your customer acquisition strategy for people listening because you got people from equity, private equity to financial advice. So what they're looking for is what you're going to say next is like, yeah, I want to make sure that companies have a strategy in place, like a 90-day strat. Like, what is the strategy?
Yeah, I mean, so for our early acquisition stuff, like it's going to be very close knit. So we've got, let's say friends and family, but it's similar to that, right? Like
Of
I
course,
train at a gym. Like some of our first customers is going to be our gym. He's got several locations. We're
of
going to be
course.
onboarding them. One of my other developers also trains. We're going to be onboarding his gym. So we're working through kind of our early network to the very very first customers,
Yeah,
just so we can test it ourselves as well, like with real people, be there for support. We've got our own social media, so we've got a media team that we're putting together. We've got video. We went to Vegas and went to the CJI and World Tournament. So
yeah,
we're going to be focusing on kind of some of the stuff that today does, right? Like content. We're going to be generating our own content. We're starting our own podcast, a Jiu-Jitsu business podcast.
I love that.
How do we help business owners? Like you go on YouTube, like all the videos for like starting a jiu-jitsu gym, 3, 4, 5 years old, there's not really a space for it. And so like, how do we kind of connect with those, and how do we start providing free value to people as well? Like, I don't want to just charge them money. Like, we're charging next to nothing for our software comparatively to the other platforms for the
Yeah.
first like 100 customers. And we're going to keep it reasonable all the way up. Like, if you got 10 customers, you're not going to pay me $1,000 a month. We're going to make it reasonable as we scale with the businesses. So,
Well,
um,
yeah, that's what I've noticed too. Is that's like, I mean, that was perfect, by the way. I mean, that's exactly what investors are really watching for. Is like, what's the tangible traction? Like, what's the early MRR? Is it a real product? It's like you said, not vaporware. Like you're actually out, your boots on the ground, like that whole real founder hustle.
yeah.
Because then they know, like, to your point, and if you need improvements, you'll figure it out so that you scale up to the next gym, the next gym, and the next club, and the next club, and you start to roll it out. And there's something lost in the whole automation world of just it loses the personal get out and hustle strategy sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we're planning to do in-person events, right? Booths
Yeah,
and do that stuff. I've got a couple $1,000s worth of t-shirts sitting next to me, so we can
I
go
love
out to
that.
booths and local
Are
tournaments,
they
meet
those
gym
the
owners.
roll ups?
Yeah, they're these ones. We got actually a couple different ones. We got a couple of these. We got some hats and stuff like that. So got a whole bunch of stickers. So we actually went out to the World Tournament. We couldn't afford the $30,000 booth for our soft launch,
And
so we
just
just
walk
went
around.
around with a backpack and t-shirts, and we're like handing them out to people that would talk to us, and we passed out our flyers and put them on all the coaches' chairs. And so,
Hell yeah.
the funniest, the best thing happened to me, and this was really my whole intent is. There's two separate events. We went to one, passed out a bunch of flyers, and it was just three of us wearing t-shirts walking around. And we went to another event, and a guy walks up to one of the other guys wearing a t-shirt, and he's like, "Who are you guys? I've been seeing you
You're
everywhere. I've been seeing
everywhere.
you all over."
You're like
There's
zombie
three of
stand.
us walking around with just the same t-shirt on for the weekend, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah, yeah.
not, we're not everywhere. It's just you've seen the same three guys walking around, but it gives you that imagine, like, hey, we're there, and they see this logo, and they see
Yeah.
us walking around. And so as they see us out in public and as they see us on their social media, like, we're going to be
That's a good
taking that
strategy.
approach of like, we want to be one of the forefronts, like, it's going to take me a little while, but the UFC just started their own jiu-jitsu show. They just started a huge series on
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. They're doing it, on YouTube, live and free, but becoming one of the main sponsors for those, right? Like, we want to be
Or at least a
at the place
guest.
where people are consuming this content. We want to be the forefront of it. We want to be kind of the pioneering leaders, I guess, in the combat sports space for helping businesses, continue to scale and grow. So yeah, we got a long way to go. Like, we're obviously still early. Like, it's been 6 months, right? I started this
Yeah.
6 months ago by myself. Today we're a corporation. We've got customers. We've got software. Like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
So
And to me, you have not only a need in the market, but it's such a unique market. To your point, it's not like a typical gym where you work out at. These are people that become part of your family when you're
yeah,
in combat sports. These are people that you literally are wrestling with. I mean, you're fighting with, so they become
yeah,
closer than family sometimes, right?
yeah. I mean, you got to trust them. Like, it's,
Yeah.
they're trying to break your limbs. You got to
Right.
trust them that they're not actually going to break it.
Yeah,
Like,
they know the
and they've
snap
got to
mechanic.
trust you that you're not going to break it, right?
Right.
Like,
And everybody's
so
trying to learn. It's kind of like that whole, like
yeah,
you said, a little bit about like the CrossFit, where everybody's competitive, but yet the camaraderie is like, yeah, man, we want you to get better and do your best, and perform. And that if that's built into the app, then you have such a huge advantage over anybody else who's just trying to create technology. You're trying to create community, which I love, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's where investors have gotten it wrong, by the way. They just went after technology and forgot that the technology is ideally supposed to build community. So
yeah,
let's do this, man. I like to do this fun little like lightning round thing. It's fun, it's
yeah.
fast. It's simply just this. It's like I ask a question, you just give me 1 or 2 word answer, or what first thing that kind of pops in your head. How does that sound? You want to do it?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Your favorite AI tool right now?
The cursor composer.
I love it. What's a harder fight? Writing code or rolling on the mat?
Writing code, 100%.
I love that. I wasn't expecting that answer. Okay. One book or podcast that changed how you think about your business?
The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Uh, that'll wreck you, won't it?
It'll wreck your life.
Yeah, and
You
he
work a
wrote that.
day-to-day job, you drive to work every day, you read that book, and
I got it in
your
my
life is going
library
to be
right
ruined
here.
for ongoing.
And he probably wrote that 20 years ago.
2008,
Was it 8?
or
Yeah, he's
just
got
before 2007, because he wrote it right before the crash, and then had to write a revision after the crash, and
uh-huh.
so yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I
All
mean,
right.
the principles are all still applicable, right? Like it's actually one of the reasons why I stopped doing some of the things that I did. I originally started streaming because I thought I was going to be a streamer and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, I don't want to be the product. That means I have to work all of the
All the
time. Like I
time.
don't want to be the product. I
Yeah.
can't be the product. Like no. We got to do something different
Oh, you just
where I can have
dispelled
some work
some.
life balance. You know,
You just dispelled some creators myths right there. Yeah. Okay. Next question. If you could collaborate with any tech founder alive today, who would it be?
I'd still say Tim Ferriss. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is. I love the dude. Finish this sentence. The future of AI is in the future of AI in small business is what?
Easier access.
Like so simple, so easy, right? Yeah. Yeah, Zach, I love it. I love what you're building there. I think you're the proof that this kind of like next generation of SaaS founders, they're not waiting for permission. They're not waiting to get like schooled up. They're like, hey man, if I can think it, I can just use AI to build my AI. So your book was right, except instead of writing a book, it helped you write some code, right?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's funny. We have a Monday meeting, and I literally announced that. I said, "Hey guys, like I had, been having some talks, but I just want to tell you a couple of our core business practices or business principles, and one of those is like, if we can build it, we're not going to pay for it. We're going
Yeah.
to build our own CRM platform. We're going to
Yep.
build some of these other things. I was like, if we can build it in a weekend, we're not going to pay $300 a month for it.
Right.
I said, so if we need to pay for it, if it saves us money, if we're going to save more money than having to build it, then we'll buy it. But if we
Right.
can build it, we're going to build it, especially if there's a monthly recurring revenue. Because basically everybody's trying to sell us the same 5 LLMs. Like we can plug right into them and we can do it ourselves most of the time.
Oh,
I
you just
figured,
nailed something there that might be the whole title of this podcast is like if you can build it, you should. If you need to hire it because you can scale it faster, then go for it. But you should still own it in the end, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I tell you what. Before we wrap, for listeners who want to follow your journey and support RollOps, not from whatever perspective, investment, understanding, inquiry, or literally to if there's someone listening that wants to get it, how can they get a hold of you? Where should they go?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out our website, www.rollops.pro. You can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Rollops, GymOS, and you can just give me an email at zach@rollops.pro. Shoot me an
There you
email, and
go.
I'd love to chat.
Yeah, perfect. As always, guys, on this episode is brought to you by Orimo. We help founders like Zach build faster, smarter, and with the clarity that he's talking about. So, Zach, off camera, I'll talk to you a little bit about some other things, but thanks for being on the show today. I think you
Yeah,
brought a lot of clarity to how clear you can start something if you put your head down and solve a problem, man. So, I really appreciate you sharing your story.
yeah. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate the time today.
Guys, as always, if you like the videos, click like, share, and follow us and share it with some friends. I'm sure there's lots of people that you know that are looking at starting something in this space. This is the exact type of podcast that gets people moving because they realize if guys like Zach and I can do it, you can do it too. So thanks for
Sure.
tuning in to Capital Code. And until next time, have a great day.